In the small Italian town of Urbino, on April 6, 1483, a child was born who would one day be called the Prince of Painters. His name was Raphael Sanzio. Urbino was a city of learning and beauty, a cradle of humanist thought. His father, Giovanni Sanni, was a painter in the court of Duke Federico da Montefeltro, a man of culture and art. From the very beginning, Raphael's life was surrounded by color, music, and creativity. His father often took him to the ducal court, where Raphael saw great works of art and met scholars who spoke of beauty, philosophy, and virtue. But tragedy came early. Raphael's mother, Magia, died when he was only 8, and his father passed away 3 years later. Orphaned at 11, Raphael was left with a deep sense of loss, but also with the artistic wisdom his father had given him. That early pain would later translate into the serenity and tenderness of his paintings. Even as a boy, Raphael's drawings amazed those around him. People whispered that his hand was guided by heaven. What began in a small town in Urbino would soon echo through the grandest halls of Rome. After the loss of his parents, Raphael's relatives sent him to Perugia, where he became the apprentice of Pietro Perugino, one of the most respected painters of the time. Perugino's studio was like a living academy, filled with frescoes, pigments, and young students dreaming of fame. Raphael absorbed everything: the gentle balance, calm faces, and soft colors that defined Perugino's art. He studied light, movement, and proportion, mastering every brushstroke until he could imitate his teacher's style flawlessly. Yet Raphael's work began to show something even beyond his master: a sense of grace, a warmth that Perugino's paintings lacked. At just 17, Raphael began painting his own commissions. His early masterpiece, The Marriage of the Virgin, 1504, shows the precision of Perugino but with greater harmony and life. The painting was so refined that people began to say the student had surpassed the master. Raphael was now ready to step beyond Perugia, to seek his destiny among the giants of Florence. In 1504, Raphael arrived in Florence, the beating heart of the Renaissance. The city was alive with genius. Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Botticelli were reshaping the world's understanding of art and humanity. For the young painter from Urbino, Florence was both a school and a challenge. Raphael wandered through churches and studios, studying the works of Leonardo and Michelangelo. From Leonardo, he learned the mysteries of sfumato, that smoky blending of light and shadow that gave faces life. From Michelangelo, he observed the power of anatomy, the strength and energy of the human body. Raphael did not imitate. He learned, absorbed, and refined. He began to paint Madonnas, not as distant saints, but as gentle mothers full of human tenderness. Works like Madonna of the Goldfinch and Madonna of the Meadow reflected peace and balance, qualities that became his signature. His fame spread quickly. Florence had many artists, but none who could blend perfection and emotion as Raphael did. He was not just painting bodies, he was painting souls. Raphael's years in Florence were a time of discovery. He filled sketchbooks with drawings of people, animals, and architecture. He observed how light played across faces and how emotions could be captured with the slightest turn of the eyes. Every Madonna he painted was more lifelike, more divine than the last. He began to attract powerful patrons who wanted their homes and chapels filled with his work. His paintings stood out for their balance, the perfect combination of beauty, harmony, and spirituality. Raphael's art seemed effortless, as if grace flowed naturally from his hand. By the age of 24, Raphael had become one of the most admired painters in Florence. Yet he longed for a grander stage, one that could test the full measure of his genius. That call came from Rome, where Pope Julius II was preparing to rebuild the cultural glory of the Vatican. The world's greatest artists were summoned, and among them was Raphael of Urbino. In 1508, Raphael traveled to Rome, a city of ruins and rebirth. The air was thick with ambition. Pope Julius II, known as the Warrior Pope, was transforming the Vatican into the greatest artistic project in history. Michelangelo was painting the Sistine Chapel ceiling, Bramante was designing the new St. Peter's Basilica, and now Raphael was invited to decorate the papal apartments. When Raphael first entered the Vatican, he was humbled, yet confident. He studied the ancient sculptures of Rome and Bramante's grand designs. He absorbed the spirit of the eternal city. Then, with calm determination, he began to paint. His first commission would soon become one of the most famous frescoes in human history, the School of Athens. Painted between 1509 and 1511, the School of Athens is Raphael's masterpiece and the embodiment of Renaissance ideals. On a single wall, he united the greatest thinkers of ancient Greece, Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Pythagoras, and many others, discussing philosophy beneath magnificent arches inspired by Roman architecture. But this was more than a painting of philosophers. Raphael transformed it into a portrait of his own age. Plato's face was modeled after Leonardo da Vinci, Heraclitus after Michelangelo, and Raphael even painted himself among them, quietly observing. It was both a tribute and a statement that art, science, and faith could live together in harmony. When the fresco was revealed, the Pope was astonished. Scholars called it divine. Raphael had not only equaled the giants of Florence, he had surpassed them. From this moment on, his name would forever be linked to the golden age of the Renaissance. Following the triumph of the School of Athens, Raphael was commissioned to decorate more rooms in the Vatican, known as the Stanze di Raffaello. His frescoes, the Disputa, the Parnassus, and the Liberation of St. Peter, showed his mastery of both religious and poetic subjects. Raphael's art began to represent not only beauty, but also wisdom. His compositions were philosophical, expressing balance between divine truth and human reason. Every figure, every gesture carried meaning. His colors glowed with serenity. He also became a favorite of Pope Julius II, who admired his gentle nature. Raphael's charm and humility made him beloved in Rome, even as his fame soared. In an era of artistic rivalry and ego, Raphael remained calm and kind. He was called the Divine Painter, a title few have ever earned. As Raphael's fame grew, so did the tension with Michelangelo. The Vatican became a battleground of brilliance. Michelangelo, painting the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, saw Raphael as a rival, too graceful, too favored by the Pope. Raphael, in turn, admired Michelangelo's power but sought a different path. Stories say Raphael secretly visited the Sistine Chapel to study Michelangelo's work, learning the muscular anatomy and dynamic poses that would later influence his own art. Their rivalry was fierce, but also fruitful, pushing both men to greater heights. In Raphael's later frescoes, one can see this new energy, elegance infused with strength. Though Michelangelo worked in solitude and anger, Raphael thrived among friends and pupils. Two opposites, both giants, their competition defined the spirit of Renaissance art. Amid his success, Raphael found love. Her name was Margherita Ludi, known to history as La Fornarina, the baker's daughter of Trastevere. She became his muse and inspiration. Raphael painted her again and again, her soft eyes, her tender smile, her human warmth. Their relationship was passionate but complicated. Raphael was engaged to another woman from a noble family, arranged by papal favor. Yet his heart belonged to Margherita. Their love defied class and expectation. In his portraits, she appears not as a model, but as the living embodiment of love itself. The famous painting La Fornarina captures her beauty with intimate realism. Her hand on her chest, a faint smile, and Raphael's name engraved on her armband. It was his way of saying she was his forever. Even amid fame and wealth, Raphael's heart remained deeply human. In 1514, Raphael's genius expanded beyond painting. After the death of his friend and mentor Bramante, Pope Leo X appointed Raphael as the chief architect of St. Peter's Basilica. It was one of the most prestigious positions in the world. Raphael redesigned parts of the basilica, aiming to blend classical proportion with divine harmony. He also worked on palaces and urban planning, envisioning Rome as a city of light and order. His architectural drawings were as graceful as his paintings, elegant, balanced, and deeply thoughtful. At the same time, he continued painting portraits, altarpieces, and frescoes. His workshop became the largest in Rome, filled with young artists eager to learn from the master. Raphael was now not only a painter and architect, but also the guiding spirit of Renaissance art. Raphael's portraits captured not just appearances, but souls. His paintings of Pope Julius II, Pope Leo X, and various cardinals and nobles became symbols of human dignity. In Baldasserie, Castiglione, Raphael portrayed intelligence and poise with astonishing subtlety. The face calm, the eyes filled with thought. Unlike many artists who flattered their subjects, Raphael revealed truth. His figures were noble yet real, powerful yet human. Each brushstroke was filled with respect and empathy. These portraits, painted in rich colors and perfect composition, remain among the greatest ever created. They tell us what it meant to be human during the Renaissance, to think, to feel, to aspire. Through these faces, Raphael captured the soul of his age. By his early 30s, Raphael was the most celebrated artist in Italy. He was admired by popes, princes, and poets alike. His charm, grace, and humility made him beloved in every circle. While Michelangelo isolated himself, Raphael welcomed everyone, scholars, students, and lovers of art. He was given countless commissions, directing a vast studio where dozens of assistants helped bring his visions to life. Yet despite the scale of his fame, Raphael remained gentle and generous. He helped friends, advised young artists, and was often seen walking through Rome studying its ancient ruins. He even became a curator of antiquities for the Pope, tasked with preserving Rome's ancient heritage. Raphael saw himself not only as an artist, but as a guardian of beauty, past, present, and future. Raphael's final masterpiece, The Transfiguration, was painted between 1518 and 1520. It is both his most spiritual and his most dramatic work. The painting is divided into two realms. Above, Christ ascending in radiant light. Below, humanity suffering in darkness. The composition unites heaven and earth, divinity and despair. It is a vision of faith and humanity in perfect harmony, the ultimate statement of Raphael's art. Many believe he was aware of his approaching death as he painted it, for the work seems to glow with the light of farewell. The Transfiguration was still unfinished when tragedy struck. On April 6, 1520, his 37th birthday, Raphael fell ill with a sudden fever. Within days, he was gone. The news spread like wildfire. Rome was paralyzed with grief. Artists, nobles, and priests gathered to mourn him. His unfinished Transfiguration was placed above his coffin, a final testament to his genius. He was buried in the Pantheon, the ancient temple of the gods. His tomb still bears the Latin inscription, "Here lies Raphael. While he lived, nature feared to be outdone, and when he died, she feared to die herself." Even in death, Raphael symbolized perfection. His art had captured both the divine and the human, and now he belonged to eternity. Centuries have passed, yet Raphael's name remains immortal. His art became the standard of beauty for generations. Painters like Rubens, Ingres, and even Picasso studied his compositions, searching for the secret of his harmony. Raphael's legacy lies in his balance, the unity of mind, heart, and hand. He showed that true art is not born of chaos or pain, but of peace and understanding. His vision shaped not just painting, but architecture, philosophy, and the very idea of beauty itself. Today, standing before the School of Athens or the Sistine Madonna, one can still feel the divine calm that only Raphael could create. He was not just an artist. He was a messenger of beauty, a reminder that grace and goodness can live forever through art. Raphael Sanzio, the man who painted heaven on earth, remains the eternal soul of the Renaissance.